Got it. Yeah.
Hi, Nikki.
Hello. Lovely to chat. Lovely to be here.
Yeah, I'm really glad that we both committed some time to speak uncensoredly together as two human beings living in what we have both called the cult or the concentration camp. I like to call it the captured realm sometimes. And we met just a little bit for 2 minutes before we came on, didn't we? And I asked you, is it okay, Nikki, if I give my interpretation, my independent, sovereign interpretation of some key themes that we're going to use to border our conversation? And I am not imposing my reality on other people. I am sharing my interpretation of life on planet Earth. So you said that would be okay. So I'm going to share some observations and life experience, and then we're going to go into how you feel, what you've experienced and witnessed, etc., etc. So I had been wondering, how do we even talk about things in these times? And I had asked, how do the various industries, jobs, careers, and professions collude with keeping the lie alive that we are living on planet Earth as free will, sovereign beings? Because we're not, in my opinion. Secondly, the myth of meritocracy that we have all been subjected to. And you and I, had an agreement over that, because especially if your path took you to being a creative, you're an opera singer, I'm a violinist. We've been on sound and music, hoping to get through. So, what is this myth of meritocracy when you are living in serfdom, obeying rules, regulations, protocols, normative behaviors, and unspoken and unagreed agreements, unagreed to agreements? When you find out that you, the Mr. or Mrs. Nobody, the ordinary Joe or Josephina, has not been consulted on anything, and your consent is assumed, your consent to pay to live on planet Earth, and your consent to play someone else's game is taken from you upon incarnating. There hasn't been agreed upon contract between a living human being and any other human being or any system at all. So there has been an absolute violation and abuse of free will, of organic living human being free will. And even though you and I have spoken before, and I've said I felt it from childhood in the felt sense, no, I didn't have the facts and figures, but every single one of us has lived it from birth. And no, I didn't know how awful it was or the extent of it. But since 2020, many of us are feeling we simply must learn how to bring our voices out to say, this is unacceptable. We don't want to be force fed any more lies, and we will not carry on as serfs for a new free future, which now sounds like utter BS. So, Nikki, I just wanted to say all that out loud, and over to you.
Well, I'm not somebody who's got loads of fancy words, but do you know what? What I noticed as soon as I came on here, I started to perform. Oh, it's lovely to be here. And I thought, why am I performing? You
Yeah.
know, that was so conditioned to perform, to go out and put a mask on and to perform in cult world, to be, well, we're just not who we really are we? That's the thing. We're just not who we really are. And there isn't the opportunity to be who we really are. And I call it planet prison, or prison planet, because
Yeah.
we're all living in an open air prison. And
Yeah.
even my partner this morning said, I don't want to go to work. I said, well, the thing is, I said, who does? I
Yeah.
said, why are we even paying to be on this planet? It's all utterly wrong. Why are we paying? And not only that, the way it's set up is that it's they've done such a great job, haven't they, on us? A good number. You get a really nice house. Then once you've got that, you want a bigger one. then you know you've got your all your cars lined up and everything's linked to the outside, and now you look on the outside, and we're all paying for this outside world that means nothing. It means nothing. The food's been messed with, you know. Let's go back to my life though. So I was
Nikki, before you go back to your life, absolutely so, and thanks for saying all that. I mean, what about, did anyone notice that there are always homeless people on the streets, or that we have institutions that take people in? So, you know, like that myth that they sell you, like you've got a really nice house and you're going to get a nice car or whatever. I mean, no one's even lived that. No one's even lived that. Even the more privileged serfs such as us that did creativity and aren't on the streets or in an institution. But yeah, let's go to.
Well, I used to always chat to homeless people. I've had great chats with homeless people, especially when I was in New York as well. And I used to volunteer somewhere that helped every Monday night. They fed 400 people.
Yeah.
But I think that they need people to be homeless, because it's like they said to people, that could be you. If you don't play the game, cult game, that could be you. So
Yeah.
they've got no intention of helping those people, none whatsoever, because it's that threat. You don't stay in line, you don't be the slave that we need you to be, you will lose all them things that you think you need to be happy, and that will be you. And people will walk past you and you'll be pissed on and you'll be whatever, and you know, you will be like you know, seen as worthless and useless in this society. So everybody's trying to fight to find a way to be useful and worth something.
Yeah, it's this, isn't it? And you said to me before we came on, what was it you said to me? Well, you were saying about the actual physical pain of living here because of the survival button that is pushed.
Absolutely.
From childhood. I really like to hear you say more about that.
Well, it was when I was living in Holland, I started to develop pain in my body, and it started in my jaw, and I thought it'll just go away, and I did everything to get this pain to go away, but it got to the point where I couldn't even lie down, I couldn't sit, I couldn't. It was so intense, and I didn't have the emotional knowledge that I have now, the emotional intelligence that I've developed. But I would say that was the start of my journey, because it made me go within. Prior to that, you know, I grew up in a very dysfunctional family. My word, I'm not going to say some of the stuff. It's just that you wouldn't even believe. There's been suicide, there's been incest, there's been like alcoholism. So music kind of found me. I got free lessons and then I just ran with it. So it was my ticket out. And I'm grateful for what it did for me, because it put me in this whole different world. But I was never understood by my family. It was like I was on a different planet, basically. So I knew from a very young age that I had to sort myself out emotionally and support myself. And I used to get 2 buses home at 7 years old from the music centre and walk in the dark. And, you know, so I'd say that the one thing I'm grateful for from my parents is that they gave me immense independence. And because
of the function.
Yeah, and because my mum was 16 when she had her first child, because I was put in that position, I learned to think for myself as much as I can in this cult.
Yeah, because when you say think for yourself, I feel the same. But I've also, over the last 3 years, become much more coherent with my communication with myself to say, a lot of what any of us say is the program that we are fed from birth. So, you know, even the thinking for ourselves is really difficult, because we're having to root through the nonsense lies. And, you know, like you said about your family, you know, dysfunction. And I honestly feel like I don't think there is a family on the planet that is not bred into having to become dysfunctional on every conceivable level, because that is what's asked of us on planet Earth. Like you said,
there is no other option. There's no other option. It's just everybody. I realised the other day, I was stood in front of an audience and I thought, do you know what? It's probably the first time I thought we're all in this. We're all, it's been done to all of us. It's not that, oh, suddenly I can see through it, so I'm kind of like living on it and whatever. We're all doing it. Like my neighbour this morning who told me that her husband has got days to live because he's just dropped with a stroke. And I know where that has come from, you know. I mean, I can't say for absolute
that person,
yes,
we can't say for definite, but that person did.
Yes, and I said that to her.
Mm.
And that was the only thing I said beyond I'm here, you know, let me know if you need any help, whatever. Because I thought she said I've got nothing to live for now. But this is what's happening, the genocide. So going back, you know, the one thing my parents taught me was that nobody was going to sort me out. So I had to do it myself. So that was in survival mode. And I had this thing singing that was given to me, singing lessons. Then I had to fight to that's what's wrong, I think, with the creative things. I said to somebody the other day, if you're a solicitor, you are seen as, you know, you if you're charging £200 an hour, that's pretty okay.
Normal.
Oh, yeah, of course. They are solicitor working for the slave masters, you know, with a fake set of rules and regulations and legalese and, you know, conning people and scamming people. But if you come as a creative, you're going to be lucky to earn a living. You're going to be lucky to make it work. You're going to have to fight. And I fought. And I would say, you know, I sang in some good houses, Glyndebourne, Dutch National Opera, Opera Monte Carlo, Flemish Opera. I ended up with a full-time job there in Belgium. And I could have stayed.
Yeah, so let's just pause on that a little bit, Nikki, and slow down. These opera houses that you have mentioned are what most people would think of as hitting the big time. The same with me, with the Royal Film this and the string quartet that, and the recording for the global film industry. In the lie, in the cult, we would be perceived as we were successful creatives, successful artists, hit the big time, hanging out with celebs, maybe even being seen as slightly celeb, you know, because you're not homeless, you're not working in a, I don't know, wherever else it is that they have put other jobs down in the pecking order. So it's not like you were imagining you were a singer and you were just on street corners or having to finance your own concerts. You had succeeded in the industry and majorly. And then it's still not enough, is it? Because it's still not freedom. It's still not creative.
Well, it's not freedom because you're having to play a game. And it's a game that I knew I could never play. So you either lick the backside of everybody who is up there calling the shots. Yeah. And they was, I can't remember the name of the guy at Glyndebourne, but it was like he promised the same things to so many people. He was like, oh, you can do that, you can do that. And it was, you know, everybody was just hoping they got a job. So you play the game, you're thinking, please ask me back. So you're in the game and you're practicing and you're trying to make sure you're perfect. And, you know, you've got 30 other sopranos all kind of behind you, you know, not wanting you to be the pick one. And even though there's a lot of nice people, you know, it's friendly. You learn a lot, you know, you're working with top orchestras, all this kind of stuff. So in that respect, it's brilliant. But underneath it all, it is one of the most toxic professions and it's horrible. And I left it, like you said, oh, you weren't singing on the streets. I left it to sing on the streets. I left my full-time job in Belgium to stand on a street and sing and busk and put a tin out and earn my money that way. And everybody said I was crazy. Yeah. But I knew I could no longer be part of that system.
Yeah. That is yeah, because it's like the cults within the cults within the cults within the cults, isn't it? I mean, I want to really bring this into the now because of what you're speaking about, because, you know, most of my beloved friends from the profession or the industry have gone along with the lie. I mean, you know, my everyday friends will be at have been at Abbey Road with masks on, social distancing since 2020. The artists that were seen as bigger stars than me, I was telling my partner the other day that I'd revisited YouTube recording of the proms, of the BBC proms, when one of the world's top violinists came out on stage to play at the proms, and she had the black mask on. The orchestra were unmasked, but she wore a black mask. And what is that about? And then when I'm thinking of you, Nikki, an opera singer with a stunningly beautiful voice and an innocent, benevolent human being like all of us that are the nobodies. Cardiff Singer of the Year in 2020 and 2021, I think it was. Maybe not 2020 because it was all too chaotic. They were being interviewed on TV with their masks on, about to go on stage to sing their arias to see who would win. I mean, how can people not be seeing through this, Nicola?
I don't get it. See, I don't understand because I saw through it right from the start. I never owned a mask. Social distancing, there's nothing social about it. It's like when you really think about it, none of it makes any sense. Why would you have an orchestra with no masks on and then the person with a mask on? It's just, yeah. I remember at one point on Facebook, I commented on somebody asking about the droplets from a singer, and I just said, I remember saying something and it was like I was vilified, get a grip. Suddenly it's like a singer is going to plop something on you and you're going to get ill. It's like, it was just, it's insanity. It's utter insanity around us. And I made the choice right from the start. I'm not doing any of that. And I never did. And why should I? Why would I?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why would I? I mean, I know the opera house I used to work in, because I saw a post on Facebook in Belgium, they were having testing parties. So if I'd have stayed in that job, my reality, and I'm just so glad, all I can say is there's been an inner knowing in me that I've sometimes not even been aware of, that has taken me on the path of not doing all this. And I'm so glad,
complying with life.
Yes, I'm so glad of that. When I didn't know as much as I know now, I'm so glad that I had that inner knowledge. Because I listened to a singing lesson because I recorded them all. And again, this guy wasn't part of the profession. He was just on his own, 80 years old, and he taught me for 2 years in London. And we didn't exchange money. It was like 15 quid or something every now and again, And I remember saying to him about vaccines, and this was way before all this happened. I said, "Oh no, I don't do any of that." I'm not having any of that near me. 2016 was the last time I went to see a doctor. I'll never go to see a doctor again. I will look after my own health. I will be responsible for myself. And I remember I've not been for a smear test for about 10 years because something just said, I'm not having one of them. Such a rubbish, just trying to put fear in me. So I kind of knew, somehow I knew. And then when all this happened, it's like, now I really know. Now I know. Yeah. And that's when I really started to get activated and think, I did not come to live what they're asking me to live. I did not come for that.
Yeah, well, this is major, isn't it? I did not come to live what they are asking me to.
I did not come to get a house and a car and to just have my 2-week holiday a year. I did not come for that. If I'd stayed in the opera house, I forgot to finish that. They were having testing parties and everybody had to be vaccinated and tested every so often. And I just know if I'd not walked out that door, I would not be that person who saw through it. So I'm so glad that I decided to sing Ave Maria on the street for people and go on my own path. And
what year did you start doing that then, Nicola?
I started in 2014. And the reason I started was because I hated singing, because the profession had knocked any joy out of me.
Yeah.
I had everybody telling me, oh, you're not good enough. You're not this, you're not that, you're not this, you're not that, you're not this. From being, 17, you'll never make it. You'll never. What is this making it? What is this making it? That it's like the dangling of the carrot. You are of no value unless you make it.
Yes.
You are not good enough to sing a song unless you are on the Royal Opera House stage. Well, you know what? I hate that life. I'm reading Maria Callas's biography at the moment. I would have hated her life. People were horrible, mean, toxic, jealous, nasty. And that is the profession. That is everything comes from the top, doesn't it? And the top of that profession is horrible. It's horrible. It's nasty. I know loads of people who hate what they do, who are singers. It's destroyed them.
Yeah.
on the inside, and they just, I don't know. I mean, it knocks every bit of value you've got for yourself out of yourself. And that's why I stood on a street absolutely terrified, thinking nobody wanted to listen to what I was doing. I was thinking I'll just be in the way. Don't worry, I used to say to people, I'll only be an hour. Sorry.
Oh,
Sorry
that's
to
so awful, isn't it? Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm going to apologize for my extremely high frequency gifts. I don't want to bother you on a street corner and pollute the air whilst I uplift you and give you a reason to keep limping along in the slavery realm.
Absolutely.
What disgusting situation we're in.
That's how it was. And I was apologetic and thinking I had no use whatsoever to people.
Yeah.
That's what it done for me. And over time, what happened was people started to connect to me and say, oh, you've made my day. And I would think, how can I make your day? But it's like almost do you know what? I learned so much about people from busking, because you are stood in that spot and you are watching and you are seeing the misery. You are seeing the misery of people. They might be out shopping. They might be buying all this stuff that they think is going to make their lives happy. But I saw the misery, and they would hook on to me singing for 10 minutes and it would lift them.
Yeah.
And then we'll carry on the way. And that's when I started to think, you're onto something with this, Nick. And my life went in a totally different path.
Yes.
And I listened to my gut.
Yeah. I mean, this is almost making this sound like a fairy story that's going to have a happily ever after, isn't it? But it's like, I want to like offer like my personal experience that's sitting by my side to yours, because it really hurts me to hear all this, because it is really beautiful what you decided to do. But at the same time, I don't want anyone to get a false impression that that meant happily ever after, because here we are living through the intensity of this genocide 2023, because I learned how to express and play my violin because I was busking on the streets from, I don't know, maybe 10 years old, because I so like have this with you, like busking on the streets. We were a string quartet or just solo violin. That's how I sort of prepped myself, but I didn't know I was prepping myself for going on stage.
Absolutely.
That came later. I didn't intend to become a professional musician. I was just trying to get through the hell realm. And like you said, there was this misery surrounding. Everyone is bent over with misery, and they were feeling what I was feeling. Misery, misery, misery. But at least I could, a drop in the ocean, add to something for 5 minutes for someone, and in their inner ear they might still hear the little Mozart quartet or the Beethoven quartet that was played or whatever, or like your aria. But I was very angry at the beginning of 2020 when people that haven't done my path, because of course they're on their path, said to me that I should busk in the streets because I no longer sort of have a profession, because I've been truthering my ass off. I've spoken to my colleagues, I've spoken out online, I haven't been able to shut up. And the response I've had from people that were non-musicians was, you know, you should go in the street and busk. And I just felt like people are not understanding what's happening. I am telling you about what's happened to me and my experience as a way to contribute to the potential awakening, not because I need some sympathy and pity or I'm in victim consciousness. I am trying to say, I'm using the live living example of, do you think this isn't coming for you? Do you think it isn't? Because I was a more privileged slave, you know, like you're a more privileged slave. Art, creativity, making it, blah, 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 blah. So it's like, I really want people to get it. I really want people to get it. Like you got it, like you said, and it was your inner knowing that things are bad here on planet Earth.
Yeah, and I think the reality of it's really set in. And I do appreciate you speaking out. I can only commend how much you speak out. It's absolutely amazing. But I know it's like, you don't want to be like congratulated on it, because it's like we're living in this and it's real. And I'd say the reality, because before I could live on my singing cloud. Well, at least I've got my mission, I'm doing this, that, the other. Now, and yes, I'm doing that, but my cloud has become very, very realistic. You know, I had chronic pain in my body all these years. I start coughing when I start to speak out because this area is trying to. It's such a big thing for me to truly use my voice when it's just been every time singing or whatever. You just get knocked down. You get 80% of my friends when I started to speak out at the beginning of this, because I was like you, I thought people would see it. I thought, come on, there's nothing to be scared of. And I would watch people queuing at a distance outside the supermarket to buy fake food, you know, that's just full of rubbish that's going to make them even sicker than they think they're already going to get. And I can't take part in this. So I remember speaking out to people, and I started to put it on Facebook first, and I just was called Granny Killer, everything. How you go in and sing for people, and you know you could potentially kill them, and I'm like, what?
That's tough, Nicola. That's tough what you've done.
I had it, and I became like, I had to kind of start again. And I just said to my really close friends, I said, I'm just in my own lane now. That's it. That's happened because that's it. I can't be in this realm. I said, I cannot be in this as it is.
But
now we are. Just are. We're in it, and it's a shock. It's like everywhere around us, even though I could potentially go out and just have a very nice day. You know, the sun outside, there's a river at the back of my house. I've got my dog. You know, I don't have anything calling me today, but I can't anymore because every day I wake up knowing that what's going on.
And every day. This is really, I really want to highlight a few of the things you said, Nikki, because first of all, it's like, I bet there is a load of sort of false assumptions. Like, how can someone that goes on stage as an opera singer have a problem with speaking out? But that is the point, because we have not been, from incarnation, no one is allowed to speak out about anything, because even offline from our childhood, like we said, everything is about you shush, you are nobody, or you need to make it through in the hell realm alone. And when you said, like, I could potentially sort of have a nice day because I know you've got like a river at the back of your garden, you could sit in the sun trying to soothe and balm yourself through another few hours, and that is it, because these nice days are not going to cut it. You know, us going to hug a tree and like feel the sun does not take away from the fact that I don't know who they are. I don't know their names and addresses, you know, of the persons or the AI lovers that actually do not want us to ever birth freedom for the future generations. And that's really pissing me off.
They just want us dead. They want us gone. We are not, it's like humans are just no, I heard somebody the other day saying no different to cattle, no different to animals. We have absolutely no use whatsoever now. So they just want rid of us. They want the human population to end. I've worked out they want control over everything. I thought, oh, well, nature's powerful. No, they're controlling all that. They're controlling everything. What species grows, where, what, when, this. You know, everyone's pouring chemicals everywhere, all over the lawns. People are not growing their own food. We've absolutely trapped ourselves in a prison, and I don't know how we will, if we will get ourselves out of it. I really don't. And the reality's hit like big time that I have been completely and utterly programmed. You know, even the words I'm saying now, what's real, what isn't, what's programmed, what isn't. How do we get out of this programming when you walk out of your door and everybody's speaking program to you? You know, where you look is program, isn't it? You know, everywhere you look. So it's almost like how do we survive through that? How do we? Because that's the burden I feel on myself every day. You know.
Oh, thank you for saying that, Nikki. That is the burden I feel upon myself every day. I mean, I'm totally in harmony with you. That is the burden I feel upon myself every day. That are we even going to get a chance to birth an existence that respects all life, which is a very easy phrase that some of these genociders use, like respect all life and respect nature, like you said, but actually they're deciding what goes where, what's being meddled with. Is a cow above a human or below a human? Is that human above or below that human? Da, da, da. I mean, it's so intense. The falsities, the lies, like you said about the mind programming, because the mind programming, of course, translates into behavior, the doings, the actions.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not just that we're sitting around at home and going, we're a bit mind programmed, but our actions are sovereign. No, our actions aren't sovereign, and we must be able to begin telling the truth about what a mess it is without even. I mean, one of the things that I found very painful about myself and about my attempts to speak was the strange programming that said, you don't speak unless you've got a solution. You don't speak unless you've already sussed it. Do you know what I mean? That was a programming I found inside myself. You don't speak if you haven't got a solution. And you don't speak unless you're somebody, unless you have been accredited by someone else. And it's all of this. It's like, no, I accredit me to speak. I claim my sovereign right to speak. And it doesn't matter if I fail. It doesn't matter because I tried. You know what I mean? That's the state I got to, Nicola.
Also, it was like, if you said anything against a narrative, it was like, well, who are you, a scientist? Where's your doctor qualifications? And it's like the having an inner knowing was totally disregarded. I just know because I'm trying to connect to my utter intuition that tells me that this is all totally and utterly wrong. And that's what in the past people lived by. And it's been knocked out of us by this white supremacist system that doesn't support people. We've just become pawns in the machine. That's why I left the opera house, because I thought, I'm just a cog. I'm just a cog machine. It's like, I just think, what are we doing here? It is a prison. It really is a prison.
It's actually very, very PTSD, to use a trendy phrase on planet Earth, to acknowledge that to yourself and then even speak it with someone else like we're doing today, because the program wants to go, it can't be as bad as this. It just can't be as bad as this. Or like you and I have spoken about, the myriad of voices out there saying, don't worry, it's an evolution for this planet and human. Don't worry, it's a higher frequency, it's a better something, it's a freer something. And of course I've listened to them too, feeling like, oh my God, is it or isn't it? Do you know, are we equals? Can we speak together? And I'm just seeing charlatan after charlatan after charlatan. I mean, I noticed you said white supremacist. I'm not going to like alter your speech, but I don't know if it's white supremacist. Do you know what I mean? But there's definitely supremacist activities from birth imposed upon us all. I'm very nervous about that kind of woke thing. About we must beat ourselves up. It was us what done it, because this is the program. It was you what done it. It was you what done it. And it's like, oh my God, I don't want to be force fed any more bullshit, But I'm just noticing we've got like 3 minutes, Nikki. So shall we do part 2?
Yeah.
We'll come out.
Yeah. And then we'll have a carry on.
Yeah. And I want to really focus on even the first thing you said, which is, as soon as I started speaking, I felt I was performing, because that's the stuff I care about so much too, Nikki.
Yeah.
Let's go deeper into that.
Perform anymore.
Yes.
It's an act, isn't it?
Yeah, everyone's doing it.
In an act every single day, and all we're doing is destroying ourselves from that act.
Yeah, and it's not about the creatives are doing the act or the entertainers are doing the act. It's everyone, like you said, it's everyone.
Everyone.
That feeling of having to survive and perform from birth, in your family of origin, at your school, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So let's go into that when we come back.
Okay, I'll see you in a minute. Yeah.
Thanks, Nikki.
No worries.